my bitches bad as shit. We on top like chandelier. We make a movie, curve full of baddies and bougies. Glocks, fans and Uzis. I might pop out like John Wayne. Come through, sweep that bitch like Nudie. Only my Lumi. I'm in here clutching the Uzi. Sliding big truck like Dooley. Ducking the groupies. I'm not the type to be choosy. I gotta ride with the tool. I thought you knew me. I don't gotta go to no job. Rapping and chopping my duties. Smoke be thicker than Fox. Woods be bigger than logs. Yeah, I'm not your average buddy. Yeah, it's a couple of bags on a buddy. She gon' give me some head and get lucky. We could be on the beat somewhere lovely. I be mixing the walk with the bubbly. That's why she put no one above me. All my bitches bad as shit. We on top like chandelier. We make a movie, crib full of baddies and bougies. Glocks and fans and Uzi. I might pop out like John Wayne. Come through, sweet some bit like Nudie. I might pop out like John Wayne. Come through, sweet that bit like Nudie. All my bitches bad as shit. We on top like chandelier. We make a movie, crib full of baddies and bougies. Glocks and fans and Uzi. I might pop out like John Wayne. Come through, sweet that bit like Nudie.
Hello, this is a prepaid collect call from
I mean, most people don't know about the first black republic in the Western Hemisphere, right?
Right.
That demolished that concept of Negroes are animals and couldn't think, right?
Right.
Got kings and queens that got off these boats and it still had their language, still had their history, and still had their military and intellectual skill set to be able to put together a scheme to take over, to abolish the oppression that was oppressing them. You know what I mean?
So what did you do for money? What did you do to keep the lights on? What did you do to put food in your stomach?
You know, little hustles here, wash cars, you know, bag groceries, sell a little weed, talk to girls who parents had money and ask them for money. Little baby gigolo. Things of that nature.
That sounds like what a typical adolescents do nowadays.
Absolutely, except when you're in the ghetto, it's seen as a derogatory construct that you pimping on this girl because she getting you $20, $30 because she feels sorry for your situation. Somehow you being slick, right?
Right.
You know, you out here picking up people trash and pumping gas and doing these little odd things. Somehow, you know, you're being criminal because you're trespassing. You're loitering in problem. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or you're a bum ass nigga that, you know, you get these derogatory constructs based off being adolescents because you black and poor.
So let me ask you this. At that age, were you privy to, like, as the youth call it, being fresh or fly or whatever word we would like to use right now? Swag?
Yeah,
Swagged
always,
out?
you know, swaggerific, right? But I was basically when the guys who went to high school and the cool guys in the neighborhood, you know, they'll pass down they second hand-me-downs and we'll take them and make them do what they do, right?
Right.
You know, he might not wear them shoes nothing but 4 times, but by the time I get them, they're going to look like they came out the box, right? You know what I mean? So you had this type of creativity where we ain't out here stealing, we ain't out here breaking the stores. We just finding dudes that got clothes and we just socializing and we trading things out. The same thing women do, men do, adolescents definitely did in our environment, right?
Right.
So say I got a homeboy that got a yellow shirt, I got a white shirt, right? We switch shirts on different days, right? You get 4 or 5 friends with different colors, man, you got a whole outfit, man. There ain't nobody in the neighborhood you live in. We might be in different neighborhoods, so I'm wearing something that the other neighborhood ain't see yet. You know what I'm saying? It's
right.
new to them, right? So you know, so you faking it until you're making it, but you're making it do what it do. And this is how I got my swag, by just being creative.
So when did you have your second run-in with law enforcement where you were arrested?
That was when I got a burglary charge and got caught with a firearm, breaking in the car, got the pistol out the car, tried to sell the pistol and wound up going to jail before I could even do that, and got a burglary and possession of a firearm, concealed firearm.
So all in all, how many times, if we had to guess, how many times did you get arrested by the time you were 18?
Just 2 times. That was the 2 times in juvie, and then the 1 time when I had this false statement that landed my ass on death row, and I've been stuck in here ever since.
Yeah, I'm talking about your adolescence years. So I'm not speeding up to your adulthood. Let's keep it within your adolescence year. How many times were you arrested?
2 times. Just 2 times.
So, as you said, you were ignorant to the law. You really didn't have that many brushing to understand the law.
Yeah, pretty much.
So now you're doing odd jobs. I'm quite sure that you're taking care of your siblings, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm quite sure you take care of your siblings, correct?
Right. Yeah, well, taking care of siblings was basically me going around. You know, I was a professional panhandler, right? So the fact that I was, had some form of a brainwave, I know how to ask people who had stuff for stuff. So you had a lot of kind people that understood. So a lot of friends who had moms them who, know how to get their big welfare checks or, know how to get, their extra little food stamps. They'll give me a box of cereals here, tater chips there, milk here, stuff like that, and you bring it home and share with your siblings. So, you can help feed your family just by panhandling 2-3 houses like that, right? And if you go outside the community and really go to look, you know what I'm saying? Well, if you got people that'll buy you $50, $60 worth of groceries. So it was really me just being a professional panhandler to get other people to help me help myself. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which was a skill set in itself, because that's what investment bankers do all day, right? But they don't call that panhandling. They call that smart strategic strategies, right? So I'm going to get the panhandling. I'm being slick charged because I'm trying to eat by begging for food.
Hello?
Yeah.
You can hear me now?
Yeah, you hear me?
Yeah, so you ready?
Yeah.
So you said you were panhandling, finessing to help feed yourself and to help your siblings out, correct?
Correct.
So, okay. You've only been in the system twice. Nothing serious, but, you did get a gun charge for breaking into houses or breaking into cars?
Breaking into cars.
Breaking into cars, you found a gun that you were trying to sell and whatnot.
Well, let me break it into a car, yeah.
So the first time you break into a car, that's the first time you get arrested?
Right.
My God, what kind of luck you had?
Straight to jail, you know what I mean?
That was terrible luck.
Yeah.
So, what grade are you in high school at that time?
Yeah, 8th grade, 7th grade.
Oh, so this is middle school?
8th grade, 9th grade type stuff.
So you're still doing delinquent activities as an adolescent?
Right, you're trying to be creative and try to be creative in a way, but the panhandling thing was the best route. But every now and then you might deviate, and that deviation was, yeah. But other than that, I'm a person that don't get in trouble.
So you said for you, the reason why you were engaged in these activities because it was kind of hard for you to go home from. I'm gonna say school was like a peace of mind for you because everything was there for you in school. You had food, you had air conditioning.
That was the whole point of going to school, for the food. What the what?
So
American education system is horrible. Best thing they got was what the revolutionary Black Panther Party brought in was some free food. Man, a nigga that'll get something to eat, man. What's going on, man? And then all the girls in school and the free food in school, man, I'll be there. Yeah, that's what it was.
So school was, I'm gonna say, it was like a safe haven for you.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
So when you go home, it's like a nightmare.
Not really a nightmare, but it's just a challenge. Home cooler than a motherfucker. It's just the lights off and ain't nothing to eat.
That sound horrid. That sound horrific, man.
It's only sound horrific to people who got full refrigerators. I'm in the environment, but most of us hungry, so that was the norm, yeah.
Wow. And that shouldn't even be the norm. But that's the norm to
America.
you.
Yeah, not in America, not the richest country in the world. Absolutely not. Not the richest country that spends trillions of dollars on wars. Absolutely not.
Yeah, that shouldn't even be the norm.
How is there such thing as homelessness in America? That's unheard of. Say what now?
So now, let's fast forward. I'm going to say 96, 97, when your life changed. I'm not going to say when your life changed forever, but that is the origin of what took place that changed your life forever.
Right.
So 5 people are found dead inside of a trap, correct?
Right, them boys got killed. That was a hood loss. Those are hood community members. We know all of those guys, right?
Right.
We know all of those individuals. You know what I mean? Yeah, we know all of those guys, right?
Right.
And, yeah, 96, 97, that's when the crime happened, which was horrific. And 98 with the bright idea from a homeboy getting killed. And, man, you in an environment that shit crazy.
Yeah, we're talking about in the city right now, 96, 97, 95, the murder rate is high.
I was going to church, choir boy. I was a choir boy, yeah. I had done got back into school, going for my GED and going for computer graphic designs. And I was studying how to be a preacher. You know what I mean? So, we was trying to do our things, but this situation when a homeboy died in 98 throwed it off. But 96, 97, I was in church and in school. Back in school, rather, you feel me?
Gotcha. And your homeboy, what was his name?
Michael Gaucher.
And he died at what age?
I don't even know. You know the funny thing about being ghetto? You don't know a brother's name and you don't know his age. You just know they call him Boo Boo and he looked like he round by it and that's about it, right? You don't know his name till he dead and you don't know the day he was born until you see the obituary.
Obituary. That's
yeah.
That is so true, man.
It was educated ignorance. What it was is, me, I'm a nerd. So I come around and ask you, hey, man, what's your name? And what the hood is saying, man, you be asking people their name. What type of nigga you is? Dude, asking niggas their name. They want you the police?
Yeah.
So you educate yourself to be stupid.
Right?
Being stupid is a smart thing in the hood because, what it came from is you can't tell what you don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Definitely. That's why when some of these dudes in interrogation room, police ask you, what's the dude's name? You like, I just know dude by Boo Boo.
Shit, they fool. They call a nigga big fool. The nigga look fool. Fool. Yeah, that's real.
All right, so your homeboy get killed. How does that plays a dynamic in your situation that you're in now?
But you got to remember, at the time, my homeboy was my best friend. Even though he was a really creative individual, pretty smart guy. He couldn't read or write, but he was pretty smart. He was very creative and keeping money in his pocket, right? And I was one of those guys that was on the side of my best friend ride, man, trying to holler at the pretty girls, right? So, I played it like a champ. You know what I mean? You would have thought I was something more then, but I was nothing other than what TLC was, and we have to highlight it. I was the scrub on the side of my best friend ride trying to holler at chili T-bars, right? And they was having none of, but I was vibing, and this guy didn't have friends, and I was his friend, and he was mine. The only thing was he was very creative and coming up with ways to stay paid. You know what I mean? I ain't asked questions. So, but from a distance, it didn't look like that, right? You know what I mean? It looked like I knew something I didn't know. It looked like I was vibing when I wasn't vibing. It looked like, because I get along with, with these guys that might be upper echelon community members, right? I get along with these guys. Even in this environment right here, I get along with the so-called savages.
Right.
But, you know, I'm a good guy, but you'll come in, most of these guys will come in and think I'm some type of leader or something. They thinking I'm part of they gangs or something. I ain't affiliated, man. You know what I mean? But from a distance, it looked like because I'm hanging out with these individuals. So I still have that forte. But when you are in a concentrated area and your neighbor, you know what I mean? These are my neighbors. So this is my friend. You know what I mean?
Right.
But from the outside that's such and such, and you hang with such and such. So that means your ass must be like such and such.
Birds and flocks hang together.
Yeah, and we don't kind of dispel that myth. That's part of the allure to it. Camouflaging as if though as, and that can get your ass on the death row for real. You know what I mean? Because, and that's a different story at a later questioning time. But yeah, that's kind of what it was, man. Hanging out with my homeboy, just vibe.
So these individuals that kill your homeboy, you feel that they're coming for you now?
Yeah, basically. That was the narrative. We don't know who the hell killed him, right? But he wound up dying, and but he was a hot boy, man. He was out there with that. He was out there with the shenanigans. You riding around with all this money. Hey, your ass don't work nowhere, right? Keep a couple $1,000. Shit, and I'm poor. And shit, you don't found your sponsor, right? Any person can go through it. Most women go through that, right? You concentrate on poverty, you with something, this and that, and then you hungry, and now you're in the car. Well, most young men go through that, man. We hang around this, man, I'm hungry, man, fuck out of here. They gonna give me a couple $100. I can get $200 to my peoples them and help pay a light bill, or even a couple $1,000 and help pay rent, and still have a couple dollars. Shit, I ain't never getting out the side of that ride, but that also can cost you your life. Right? And a lot of us get caught up like that, even though you ain't even doing shit. You just happen to be hanging around because ain't nowhere else to hang. You know what I mean?
Powerful.
People who scream this and that, they don't come to the hood and this and that, or pushing your religion on me. Man, okay, man, I don't know Jesus like that, dog. So you saying, oh, you don't know Jesus, you don't get none of this bread. Man, come on, dog. You know what I'm saying, dog? I don't go to school like that, dog. So you don't go to school, you don't get none of this milk. Come on, dog. Man, you gonna starve me, man, because I can't answer your Jeopardy questions, dog. But then you go to the guy that, they saying is creative, and he like, man, go a peanut butter sandwich, man, go some milk, man, go some powdered donuts, and a couple dollars for your pocket, man. Holler at me when you need it. You ain't never leaving this guy. This your best friend, man. That fuck you talking about, right? But he the worst of the worst, according to community rumors. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So how you balance that with the reality, nigga? I'm hungry, nigga, and I'm judged for simply being alive. I'm guilty for breathing, man. How I'm gonna win, bro? You know what I mean? So this is how a lot of us get caught up in these circumstances, that when you start trying to articulate your innocence, people already got a narrative based on what they think you are or what they feel you should be.
So now your homeboy is deceased. So my question to you, you're put in a place that you used to hang with this homeboy every day. Now you think these individuals are coming for you.
Yeah, well, what happened is, when you lose a friend, you go through a real, when you lose a friend through a tragedy, that's a depression, right? And the psychological aspects of it, we can't even, I now comprehend it. But, man, it throw you through a loop, right? And then, people like, oh, man, they looking for y'all. Now, who the fuck is y'all? Man, you in the car with them. What the fuck, what? And so, this is the thing that when you get to these points, but even the community feel like, well, you was in the car, you know what happened. This is ignorance. Ignorance is on extreme, is a little extreme, right? And yeah, it just told you, man. So when you lose a friend like that under those type of circumstances, yeah, you start, you can get that. You hanging with them, you ride with them. They feel like you should be dying with them. You like, hold on, time out, pause. I'm in church, man. What the fuck you mean I should be dying with somebody? I don't understand this concept. Oh, they like, so eating that peanut butter and them powdered donuts come at a cost. And you like, man, this only got to be because I'm black, right? But you don't say that at the time. But that's really what it is. Only a Negro gonna get his head bust for eating peanut butter sandwiches, man. What the fuck? This shit is crazy. So it's almost like if you ain't black, starving, and busted, You know, and this is a subconscious thing. You know, a few months ago, I called around and, you know, trying to get a no-interest loan. You know, some people can afford it, most people can't, but I got family members that can afford it. But from their subconscious mind, I was being offensive because I was trying to be a boss. Like, well, how the fuck we get over there? Right? All I'm trying to do is sell stamped envelopes, man. What the hell? Right? I'm trying to support myself in the jail with creative forms. There's a need for stamped envelopes because everybody ain't got a tablet. And some of these people who are in confinement, I can capitalize off that market right there through some form of peanut butter and lotion. And the people who have it, my people's them, was offended by that, would not fund that campaign, right? So I say that to say when you go back all the way to from now to then, the same method that operate within the conscious that if you ride and eat peanut butter, you must have been doing what he was doing. Oh, so he wasn't friendly because you didn't know him, but he was a friend to me. I ain't had to do a goddamn thing but sit down and just hang with him. Real talk, right? But people figure you can't be that intelligent, you can't be that smart, you had to be doing something. Actually, man, I was in the church choir, singing in the church choir. See, now that song or that part of my reality, people like, nigga, miss me with it. Nigga, I was a dedicated advocate for Jesus. Nigga, Jesus. You know, I changed my religion when they saw my black ass at death row, but that's a different story at a different question time, right? But I say this to simply say the narrative of being stigmatized for simply being is real. And when you lose a friend, no matter who that individual is, you feel that. And when you get the circumstances that, they coming, y'all, that's a real fear. You know what I mean? And you like, who the fuck is y'all? And so when you go down to the police department thinking you trying to be helpful, they'll stick a bunch of bodies on your ass, right? Like, whoa, how we get here? And then it's the police telling you they looking for you. They looking for who? Who the fuck is you? And then
So let me ask you this. What I'm grasping here, one of the individuals in that house was he allegedly a suspect for your friend murder?
Was he what now?
Was he allegedly a suspect for your friend murder?
Who was a suspect?
One of the victims that died in the house, one of the 5.
Nah, one of them guys. Them were good guys. Them guys weren't on nothing but, being creative. They was just hustlers, you know what I mean?
So how did all that correlate with one? How did the police say?
I wind up getting to a point, my homeboy, community members, jealousy if you hanging with, because my homeboy wasn't friendly. And so you ride and you the one riding and they figure they gonna kill both of y'all when you know how people start trying to predict your reality.
Right.
Listen, nigga, you gonna fall in the water, nigga, or your house gonna fall into a sinkhole, nigga, a tie iron gonna hit you out the airplane, and then you just start thriving and doing your own energy thing and vibing, and you ain't doing nothing good, you being slick. Right? If you going to start investing in Bitcoins and stock market, nigga, you selling kilos. This is narrative. So the same story as this, when the friend died, you had people who felt like, well, you must have did it. Because silence gives you an opportunity to assume. So if you're looking from a position, Jay-Z must be sleeping with babies, because how he get $1 billion? Anybody with money become a fuck nigga to poor people, right? We worship them and hate them at the same time, right? So if you get to a point of Rick Ross got his, even though he was a correction officer, wound up getting hundreds of millions of dollars. He's a cold-blooded fuck nigga cause of what? Because he was creative and he figured out that, look, I can take your story and sing about it and get paid. Well, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, why you got to be all this? Same thing. If you somehow thrive and I wanted you to be something that you're not and you happen to show that you're not what I wanted you to be, I might not really like you like that, right? Like, because the narrative that I have for you is very different, and that's a form of systemic discrimination against people of color. That's ingrained in all Americans to a certain extent, right? So the same thing as this in the hood. And so when we in the hood, that's what happened. Me hanging out with the coolest guy in the hood, riding around in all type of color cars with nice paints and rides, and, I'm just freeloading like a motherfucker because these guys don't have friends, right? That's the secret to it all, man. These guys don't have friends because they not friendly, right? And everybody tend to be somehow weary of their presence. I simply didn't give a fuck who you was, man. Hey, man, how you doing, man? I'm still like that now. I just walk up talking to people, right? And dudes be over there like with the hardest looks and stuff, and I be like, hey, man, I I see you eat a lot of canteens, so that means you ain't gonna eat that lunch tray, huh? you know what I'm saying? Nigga, I don't even know you, yo. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but I see you ain't gonna eat that though, right? So I'm saying I can like, and the dude be like, man, you know what, dog? You the first nigga to ask me. Here you go, bro. Get it and go. And next thing you know, I'm over there chilling with the dude because the dude been eating lunch by himself and ain't nobody want to talk to him. So now I'm over there to get some of his goddamn rice. It look like he got soy sauce on it. And so I'm eating to get the rice, and now we just vibing. And he telling me about, you know, how he was a kid and used to jump rope or some shit. And I'm like, no, nigga, I used to do backflips. And we share a common denominator of being humans in America.
So, CWAY, this has always been you.
It's always been me, man. You know, if you know me, you know I'm friendly. You know, you get people saying, nigga, ain't no way. You a friendly ass nigga, man. What's up with you, dog? I still got that problem. I walk up on people talking, right? This is a friendly ass nigga, man. Friendliness is a derogatory term to real niggas, right? Nigga, I ain't friendly. Nigga, that's why I ain't no nigga no more, you hear me? I ain't no motherfucking nigga. You know what I'm saying? Fuck out of here, nigga. I ain't what? You know, I'm a African black American motherfucker, you hear me? So I'm friendly, man. Why I can't just be me, man? Like I got a neighbor over here. I call him G Mac. He gay Mac, right? This is he white guy. He doing all this reaching and shit. You know, I sleep next to the bunk. He reaching for all type of shit. So I'm like, man, what the hell going on, man? You know, he like, nah, I don't know. I'm just making my bed up in a wet t-shirt. What the fuck? Nigga, it's 30 degrees outside. What's going on around here? So I started calling him G Mac because he is gay Mac, but he don't really know he gay. But you know, but we hang out like that where I shoot and crack the breeze with the brother, but the being the brother vibe, right? Even though he might be who he is, what's wrong with him being him? You feel what I'm saying? But I vibe with this individual, even though I talk all type of shit in a sarcastic way, but not in a mean, sadistic way, but I'm vibe. You feel what I'm saying? And I'm a Muslim. And you know Muslims ain't supposed to be around nothing. You're supposed to be over there and you're supposed to just, you know what I mean? Man, I be everywhere just vibing. I'm that friendly individual. So who I was is who I've always have been. And that can be demonized in our community.
So how did CWAY find him inside of an interrogation room with police breathing down his neck about 5 murders? 5 bodies found in the truck.
Man, these people smoking crack, they must be smoking the shit they intercepting out of these drug holes. You know, I know they talking crazy, talking about me. I was in the church choir. The hell you talking, what? You know, and if I had proper representation, I actually have an alibi. Man, I was in church on the day the murders happened, man. I didn't know that, right? I just discovered that going to trial. But, man, I was in church, man. You talking about, man. But, you know, a crime happened a year and a half, 2 years, and somebody pull you in and something don't happen and you going through all this. And then another thing about being black, you must have all the answers, right? You cannot have a wrong answer. You're not allowed to learn from growing by bumping your head against the wall because bumping your heads is very deadly in our hood. So you must be correct at all times, right? Or you get demonized for being flawed in some type of way. Man, Jordan couldn't be Jordan unless he learned how to lose a lot. And that was when he was going through the North Carolina days of missing all type of shit before he learned how to be who he was. You had to go through a process of learning. You can't learn to run until you can crawl, dog. You heard? But in the narrative of the so-called gangsta-ass Negro, the gangster nigga, real nigga, man, I came out the womb, nigga, I was already pimping. Nigga, get your ass from around here, nigga. You don't show yourself a narrative that's finna get you killed, nigga. You talking crazy because you're not allowed to be human. You're not allowed to be flawed, right? And the moment that flaw is highlighted, it can be detrimental to the psychological well-being of a person who is afraid of being black and poor, being black and normal, right? What does that mean? You know what I mean? So when you're in an interrogation room talking to these people, you know, you like, man, look, you need to go find the facts, right? And that was a form where they even used this in my trial. I'm saying, man, you need to go find the facts, man. You talk crazy. You need to go find the facts, man. You know what I mean? They say he was being hostile. He was being hostile. What? Man, you go through in the evidence, fingerprints, DNA, live eyewitness, bro. Ain't no fingerprints in my case lead back to me. Ain't no motherfucking DNA lead back to me. And ain't no eyewitness put me on no scene.
So hold on. Let's make this clear. You're convicted for 5 murders without DNA?
Without DNA,
without fingerprints,
and they had an eyewitness that they waited 10 years.
Let's do this one by one. You're convicted for 5 murders without fingerprints.
Yeah, based off the words that came out of my mouth. That's
Okay.
the only thing I'm in jail.
But let's go this one by one. CWAY, let's go this one by one. Were there any fingerprints found on the crime scene?
Yeah, it was all type of fingerprints.
I'm talking about your fingerprints, CWAY.
Absolutely not.
Were there any DNA found on this crime scene?
There's all type of DNA at the crime scene.
We're talking about yours, CWAY.
Absolutely not.
My God.
And hold on, let's not forget the grand one, the cherry on top. Man, it was an eyewitness that seen the killers, man. Guess when the police talked to him? Oh, what? Yeah,
Pop out like John Wayne, come through sweet that bit like Nudie. I might pop out like John Wayne, come through sweet that bit like Nudie. They calling me special, diamonds be that's retarded. We got the best in the market. I'm in a Tesla full of chrome hearts, pushing the button to park it. Got a dot on the shirt like Target. When I drop that pic, she hearted. Even though sometimes I'm heartless, put ice right where my heart is. In a Model D with a gypsy, lean over and say she wanna kiss me. Don Julio made her whole tipsy. I just say she wanna listen to some naked. Yeah, diamonds be dancing frisky. Gotta put on a set, Ricky. Be out of the door, but I gotta go back 'cause I might have forgot the blicky. All my bitches bad as shit. We on top like chandelier. We make a movie, crib full of baddies and bougies, Glocks, FNs, and Uzis. I might pop out like John Wayne, come through sweep that bit like Nudie. I might pop out like John Wayne, come through sweep that bit like Nudie. All my bitches bad as shit. We on top like chandelier. We make a movie, crib full of baddies and bougies, Glocks, FNs, and Uzis. I might pop out like John Wayne, come through sweep that bit like Nudie. I might pop out like John Wayne, come through sweep some shit like Nudie.